Welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the cold fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community.
Hello and welcome to the Modernize or Die podcast, CFML News Edition. My name is Eric Peterson. I'm an application developer for Order Solutions, and I'm joined today by Grant Copley. How you doing, Grant?
Doing good, man. How are you doing? You've been under the weather recently, right?
I have. I
Weather?
I got the flu. I thought I'd had the flu before in my life. I don't think I have. And
All right.
yeah, it took a. Doctors kept saying this will take 7 to 10 days, and I thought, nah, no, it took 7 to 10 days. So, pro tip for everybody out there: don't get the flu.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. I know personally like 4 or 5 people now that have had the flu in the past couple of weeks. So there's something going around.
Yeah, here at Ortis, which let me remind everybody is an all remote company. We had multiple people with the flu at the same time, so it's traveling across the internet. Everybody, watch out.
Yes. A lot of us have kids too, so yeah, we're getting those school germs.
Yes, one of my favorite phrases I've probably said before, maybe even on this podcast, is I used to think I had a good immune system. I realize now I just didn't have anyone sneezing directly into my eyeballs. So we love our
Nice.
kids.
We do.
Just like we love our sponsor, Orta Solutions, makers of all your favorite box products, cold box, command box, and of course, BoxLang. There's a few ways to say thanks. My favorite, come to Into the Box 2025 in Washington, D.C. this April/May. We'll tell you a little bit more about it later. Like and subscribe to our videos on YouTube. Go head over to GitHub and star those repos. You can subscribe to this podcast, leave us a review too, and let us know about it. We'll go ahead and read it here on the show. You can sign up for a free or paid account on CFcasts, buy some awesome swag in our Box Life store, or one of our great books like 102 Cold Box Quick Tips and Tricks, or learn Cold Fusion in 100 minutes. Also, you can be one of our splendiferous Patreons. And before you say splendiferous, there is no such word. It is definitely a word, but it is informal and a little bit humorous, but it means splendid, and I liked it. So, our splendiferous Patreons. We have 61 of those that are, again, splendiferous and wonderful, and you can find them at patreon.com/orsolutions. We'll tell you how you can join and the perks that come along with that at the end of the episode. So we jump into some news.
You should.
All right, we
There's a few things going on.
we announced the round 2 of sessions for Into the Box.
Yes, we did.
So I'm going to read them out here. We have looks like 8 here. We have a hands-on lab building serverless applications in AWS with Luis, using CBSSO in a cold box app with Jacob Beers, Hidden Gems in Fusion Reactor for BoxLang, Adobe Cold Fusion, and Lucy with Charlie Earhart. From Zero to CRUD with ORM with a Netlitsky. Spice up your site with cool animations using GSAP with Saeed. Advanced cryptography in Cold Fusion and BoxLang with Justin Scott. Tame the Mesh and intro into cross-platform tracing and troubleshooting with John Clausen. And Atomic Design building scalable interfaces with Jonathan Lyonez. So that's our round 2. There's still a few sessions to be announced, but you can see all the sessions that have been announced over on intothebox.org.
I'm always excited about Into the Box. We've got some really good talks this year coming up with a lot of different subjects. So I think it's going to be great.
You're speaking on our favorite CB Wire, is that right?
Actually, I have a workshop, but Mike Rigsby is actually going to be doing a session on CB Wire. So
All
I'm really
right.
excited that we've got somebody from the community that's going to be presenting on it.
That's great. So we want to see
Yeah,
you there at Into the Box too. And in addition to announcing these new round 2 of sessions, we do have some deals for bringing your whole team with you. There's a buy one get one at 50% off deal, or buy two get one free. So bring your team and save some money at Into the Box. We have some more perks we'd like to give you if you head on to Into the Box, right, Grant?
that's right. So if you are attending on site, you will get a free 1 year subscription to BoxLang Plus. So you'll get a BoxLang Plus license if you are attending. And that is a professional subscription. It enhances development across multiple runtimes, including the command line, web, command box, serverless environments, and you get a lot of additional benefits, some extra support, and access to modules with that subscription.
I mean, that's worth the price of admission right there. So go
Yeah.
ahead and sign up, get that free year license, the support that comes along with it, and come learn how BoxLang is going to supercharge your development.
All right. Looks like we've also got Adobe Cold Fusion Summit 2025 that's coming up in September. It's going to be in Las Vegas. You can grab your early bird tickets, and we'll post a link where you can access that.
All right. So this is at the Resorts World in Las Vegas. It feels like it moves up every year, the time. So now we're at the end of September. It used to be it was early October last year. It was late October before that. So I don't know. Everything keeps getting earlier. But September 22nd, 23rd, 2025.
Awesome.
Okay. How about
And you already mentioned this, but I'll just cover it again real quick. At End of the Box 2025, you do get 50% off. If you're bringing a team, you'll get 50% off of your second ticket. So if you've got 2 employees or a coworker you want to bring, you'll get a discount on that. If you buy 2, you get 1 free. So if there's 3 of you coming, that's a really great deal.
it definitely is. All right, let's talk about some new releases and updates. Let's start with BoxLang. RC1 was released, so we are in the release candidate phase for BoxLang. What does that mean? It means we are very close to a 1.0 stable release. We are focused on squashing bugs and nothing else, no new features, uh, and making BoxLang the best it can be. RC1 was released with a ton of fixes, more than we can list here. And RC2 is coming out. I mean, I think it's coming out today. Don't quote me on that. But I am very excited for it because just after RC1 was released, we have a community post from Brad about some parser improvements that have just skyrocketed the performance in BoxLang. 8 times performant improvement on parsing speeds. So just if you're using the RC1, that's great. You should jump to the latest just to see the crazy speed improvements that you're going to get
Yeah,
coming
it's
soon
a
again in
huge difference.
RC2. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe if we can vamp for just a second, I saw Luis post about it. There we go. Yesterday in the Box Products channel on the CFML Slack, it says RC2 is coming tomorrow afternoon. We are happy to report that our runtime and parser is rocking to the point we are now faster than Adobe 2021 to 23 by 25 to 37% in performance, comparing about 15 modules, Testbox and Coldbox. So, love to see that.
Yeah, I
Speaking
didn't
of,
realize that was dropping today.
yeah,
So
so dropping today, Luis, you're on the hook now. You said you would. Other releases, all the engines have had a release since our last podcast. So,
yeah.
Cold Fusion 2025, it's officially here. It's been in beta for a little bit. So the improvements and what's new we've seen before. I threw in some of my highlights. One, they added struct value array as a function, which makes me so happy because I've tried to use that multiple times in modules and then had to go back and take it out because it wasn't in Cold Fusion. Improvements to struct destructuring, which if you're coming from JavaScript land, this makes it work more like JavaScript destructuring. Again, this is my silly list. You're going to find what you actually care about in the 2025 release. Duplicate has a deep copy argument, which is something I've used in Lucy. You can pass a false as a second argument, and it will just copy the top level keys, but not recursively copy it. So it saves on memory. That's supported in 2025. And of course, everybody has probably heard that they have moved to subscription pricing. What that means for you and your company is different for each of you. It probably ends up costing the same amount if you keep up to date on your servers. Of course, this might also be a great time to come look at BoxLang and evaluate how you can both improve your development experience and save some money.
Sure. In addition to Adobe 2025, Lucy also has a release, 6.2. So we'll post a link to that. Some of the highlights they noted is it's faster. It's up to 50% faster on some operations than the Lucy 5.4 release. It's got improved Java integration, integrated Maven support, and I did see that they dropped support for Java 8. I think their new go-to is now Java 21, but Java 11 still works if you're on that.
Yeah, there's no real good reason to stick to Java 11 though. I think they point out in their blog post, like you'll have some improvements, speed improvements, just from upgrading to Java 21. So and memory improvements. So also included some links in the show notes about that improved Java integration and Maven support. It's a definite Lucy way of doing it. It looks like they're going to themselves like reach out to Maven and download libraries and things, which is it works for them. I'm excited for the ForgeBox support so I can do it in a pipeline and offline and not have to have my server worrying about that. But you can check out how they did that. We'll include that link in the show notes as well.
There's even another release.
I know, right? It's all the
Fusion
releases.
Fusion Reactor 2025 was dropped. And with it, they've got day one compatibility with Adobe CF 2025. It works with Lucy 6.2, Java 21 support, and BoxLang integration for monitoring an innovative new CFML framework.
We'll forgive the Fusion Reaction team for saying BoxLang is a new CFML framework. But we're glad they have support for it. But yeah, BoxLang is its own JVM language that can use CFML.
Oh yeah, sorry, I read that wrong.
Syntax.
Yeah.
No, you read it completely right. That was from their website. So it's not just a framework; it's an entirely new language, as all of you that have been listening know.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Some webinars, meetups, and workshops. We got one to announce coming later this month on March 20th and 21st. We have a cold box training from hero to superhero, mastering cold fusion and BoxLang development. This is online, a 2-day workshop, 9 to 4 Eastern, both days, with the cold box father, I don't know, creator himself. How old is Luis? How old do we want to make him?
We'll just say it's with Luis.
It's with Luis. Let's take all that out in post. Yep. And so come take your cold box development skills for cold fusion and BoxLang to the next level. Go ahead and sign up now. Again, a 2-day online conference with Luis on Coldbox. You're going to learn Coldbox fundamentals, building RESTful APIs, modular development, dependency injection, some best practices, testing, and debugging. I think if you are
That's a lot of stuff.
It is a lot of stuff. If you are wanting to get as much training as you can join this online training, and that leaves you space to take one of the other workshops that are being presented at Into the Box. So
Hmm,
that way you don't have to take it up by taking the cold box course at Into the Box. You can take something
there
new.
you go. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's jump into some conferences that are coming up. We've talked about a few, but let's go in order here of what's coming soonest.
Yeah. So it looks like the Adobe CF road shows are going to be this month. They're starting this month at least. So this is a series of um, shows that they're doing starting March 21st, San Jose, California. They're also going to be in Seattle. Is it Durham, North Carolina?
It looks like so they
Mhm.
listed Raleigh as a city, and then at the
Oh, okay.
address it's in Durham. So I'm not sure.
One of the two. And also in Atlanta. So yeah, those are various states. You've got the road shows are going to be there, and from what I'm seeing, it's free.
Yep, you can check
Okay,
out on their roadshow website what goes on that day, but it's mostly looking at the 2025 release in time for an open discussion as well. So I keep kind of hoping secretly that they bring one of these to Utah. I have an Adobe office like 10 minutes down the street, um, but obviously they don't do any cold fusion stuff there, so we're not important enough yet, I guess.
maybe next year, Eric.
Maybe next year. Come visit me. I'll come say hi. After that, Cold Fusion Summit East 2025 is right in the middle of that, March 26th in Reston, Virginia. This is also free. You can sign up at the link that we'll include in the show notes. That's a day-long conference, 8 to 4 on March 26th. Go ahead and register now. So I wonder if that is like being included in their roadshow or yeah, I don't know. It's interesting they have both.
Oh yeah, yeah, because it falls right in between them too on March 26th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're just making the rounds, going to be touring the United States. Okay, after that, coming up in just over a month, we have Into the Box 2025. Washington, D.C., April 30th through May 2nd for both workshops and the conference. We've mentioned some great deals you can get on tickets, especially for your team right now. So come and grab a ticket right now on our website, intothebox.org, and start viewing the sessions that you think you might want to attend and the workshop you want to choose out. If you're on the other side of the ocean, you might want to be looking at CF Camp, May 22nd through 23rd. Again, all the dates just moving earlier in the year. I think my first CF Camp was late June, and now it's May. Their call for speaker has closed, so hopefully that means we're going to be seeing some talks coming out of there soon. But again, that's May 22nd and 23rd in Munich, Germany. And finally, looking forward to the end of the year, we've talked about it. Cold Fusion Summit 2025 is September 22nd and 23rd. You can come to get certified a day early or stay a day late. The early bird tickets are just $100, which is insane. Adobe is definitely um, subsidizing your way. So grab one of those tickets, come visit in Vegas, and we hope to see you there. If none of those are enough, we love pointing at comps.tech. Check that out for any other conferences that you're interested in attending.
So many conferences.
So many conferences, but only check
Can't
out
miss them all.
comps.tech after you have an Into the Box ticket.
There you go.
Yes, we will not hide our bias here. We want you into the box first. And I honestly think you'll get the most out of that one. So, all right, let's jump into some blog posts and videos of the week. We have a couple weeks to go through, and Most of my blog posts here are from one man, the myth, the legend, Ray Camden. He has been joined the Ortis team as a BoxLang advocate, and he's been going to town showing some things about BoxLang. So we're going to talk a lot about those. But we'll try to go in order. So we have a great article introducing Ray as the BoxLang advocate, and he's gone on and looked into scripting with BoxLang, like making a random dad joke fetcher. Um, what else do we have on the BoxLang front? I'm gonna just try to grab all of them right now. He explores building serverless Lambda functions in AWS with BoxLang, using the BoxLang application lifecycle and building a web app, converting a Python script and performing local searches against his blog, parallel looping, and using Java libraries with BoxLang. So 6 articles there if
Yeah.
you are wanting to see, and those are all pure BoxLang, by the way. So a lot of the work that you've probably done yourself has been using CFML code inside BoxLang, which is 100% supported. But if you wanted to see what it likes to have a pure BoxLang experience, these articles will give you a good taste of that.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in those blogs too. One of them being the serverless Lambda functions one. Um, I was reading that and saw that he had posted a link to the GitHub repo where it's like a template. So you can just take that, pull it down, make a few environment variable changes, and you'll be pretty much ready to go and have a Lambda function running on AWS. So a lot of that work's already done for you. You just got to pull it down. And he talks more about that in his blog.
Yeah, I love that article because not only does it show you how to use BoxLang in it, which is works really easily, but it shows you all the setting up AWS to use serverless functions, which I mean AWS. I think you need a guide for everything in AWS because there's so much.
You do, and he talked about too in there some of the things that he ran into, which because he talked about it. AWS can be kind of intimidating, especially if you're not familiar with it and all these things that you can run into. So the fact that there's kind of this pre-built template you can just plug in is nice. And I thought it was super cool. I mean, once you've got all the setup done, it's literally just a BoxLang script with a function called, I think it's run, and you're good to go. You can just start coding away, and whatever you need it to do, you just put it there. So simple.
Definitely.
But yeah, lots of Ray blogs.
I see you
I've lost
added
count
one
of them.
here as well. That's not BoxLang specific. It's actually about the Chrome browser's built-in AI capabilities. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, sorry if I get your name wrong. I think it's Chris Simmons blogged about this, but he's talking about um, a VS Code extension called CFML Formatter. And essentially, it uses CF format under the hood to basically prettify your files. So if you're working with CFML, you can install this extension, and then it's just doing like a format document. And it will actually read the rules that you've got inside of your .cfformat.json file, which I thought was pretty cool. So I use the CF format a lot, but I've been using it from the command line. I didn't realize that there was like a VS Code extension that will just make it a lot easier.
I
So
don't know if I've looked at this VS Code extension. My biggest question is, does it just run like the command box command under the hood? Because we had one that did that and it would take a minute because every time it would try to run format, it would have to spin up command box. So if it
that
has
I don't
command
know.
box running in the background, then I need to install this immediately because I would love that. I will have to
Yeah,
test
I'm
that.
not totally sure how it works. I did pull it down and was trying it out, and there was a little bit of delay when I first ran it, so I don't know if it's like running the command box shell behind the scenes and doing that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'll have to see. Because I like you. I've used CF. I mean, I've been a CF format stan since it came out, which is by John Bearquist, friend of the show, and it's great. We have CF format rules in all the Ortus repos. In fact, if you've contributed, you might have been annoyed by them before while we fail your build saying it didn't follow the formatting rules. But we also make it easy, the one command to update it. But yeah, this would be great to just be able to have that formatting rules done on save.
Yeah, it did
So
have the autosave on there too.
yeah, I'm gonna have to try that out.
Yeah.
I too have been using it for the command line. In fact, my little uh, tip and trick is there is a git subcommand. So if you do CF format, usually you do CF format run and then you give it the options you want. You can do CF format git and then you have a staged and an unstaged, and it will look at your working directory, see those files, and only format those. So that way, when I get to time to commit, I can remember, oh, I need to run, CF format git staged, and it will format any file that is staged and restage those changes. So that way,
Mm.
because I don't know about you, I don't want to run it on the whole repo. It can take a long time. So anyway,
So not related to CF format, but I wanted to give you props, Eric. There was a command that you posted somewhere in Slack that I use. It's a git command that I now use every day, probably at least 10 times, and that's git pull dash dash rebase dash dash auto stash.
oh yes.
And I think, and every time I run it, I'm like, I just need to like, I wanted to thank you publicly for telling me about that.
Yeah, that one got upgraded to a git alias. I have a git alias. It's just GL, and it does that git pull auto stash rebase because that's what I need.
Yeah, so if it's not clear, I mean, what it does is it automatically stashes your changes and goes ahead and um, pulls down any changes from GitHub or wherever you're storing the repo. So, anyways, it saves me a few commands, and
Good. I'm glad it's helpful.
huh.
Awesome. Thanks to everybody who wrote a blog post this week. Glad we got to highlight you. If we missed highlighting you, please reach out. We're we got our list and we're trying to keep it up to date since um, everybody's all over the internet now. We need a better way to keep track of everybody. Probably just RSS. We'll get back to that.
We're coming back to
I love it.
it.
Bring back Google Reader. No, I'm just kidding. Only kidding because I don't want Google to bring it back because they'll kill it again. Anyways, let's talk about some jobs. Over on getcfmljobs.com, there are 3 new jobs. There's a contract position for a Cold Fusion administrator that's remote in the United States, a Cold Fusion application developer that's remote, a full-time position, and another contract remote position available. So all remote, which is great, and 2 contract and 1 full-time. If you have a job that you'd like to highlight, please reach out to us. We'd love to highlight you here and get you in touch with the great developers that listen to our program. Well, how about some ForgeBox modules of the week?
Let's do it. First one up is Color Tools by James Moberg, and I was reading he blogged about this. It's a CFC that he's working on. I think it's still a work in progress at the moment, but essentially it's a component that you can use when you're dealing with color generation or color manipulation, and it has some pretty cool methods in it. One of them that caught my eye was calculate contrast. So the ability to determine like the contrast between 2 colors. I think it can convert from like hex to RGB and vice versa, and just some interesting stuff on there. So definitely check out his blog posts and check out Color Tools if that's something you want to look into.
No, I included the install command for command box because this is just a Git repo, so you can install it this way. But come on, James, let's get this on ForgeBox. Let's make it official. All right. As for the VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week, going into making your life better with Git. This is a GitHub Copilot thing. I'm sure there's another extension that will do it that doesn't use Copilot if that's not your jam. Um, I don't know about you, but there's plenty of times that I've changed so many files, and I get to the commit message, and I'm like, I don't know, stuff. Stuff changed. I can remember one of the things I changed, but I don't know all of them. Well, I learned that there's right in VS Code, there's the little stars in the text box for the commit message. If you click
Yeah.
on that, it'll look at all your commits. It will summarize them and it'll give you a commit message, which is handy when I don't want to write one. You know, sometimes a
It
lot of
is
times I
neat.
have a good idea of what I'm going to write, but sometimes I just don't. And this is going to be better than me typing, WIP, work in progress. So,
I wanted to
um,
ask you about this one because with my experience, it's been a bit hit or miss. It seems to do really well with change, not huge changes. Maybe like a few lines that have been changed or but if I'm doing a commit where I'm like committing 10 different files, it's come up with some pretty odd stuff for me.
I mean, that's AI for you, right? So,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah. So your mileage may vary. This is definitely not a tool I use all the time. I reach for it when I'm like, I don't know what I did. And sometimes it produces garbage, and it's like, hey, I guess I gotta go look at what I did. Sometimes it reminds me of what I did, and I can give it a better message. And sometimes it's fine. So I feel like that's AI. Again, I think as software developers, we all kind of see AI for where it's going to land. It's not going to replace our jobs because it's even stupider than we are. So, but it can be it can be a good coding monkey that sometimes types the right thing out, and sometimes it can do
For
it for your
sure.
commit messages as well. So
Yeah.
I I guess Copilot in general, like I use it. I like it. If I turned it off, I'd be fine. But like there are definitely times that it has saved me typing, helped me in a refactor. There's other times that I'm annoyed at how many times I have to hit escape to dismiss the really dumb prompt it pulls up. So yeah, it's probably a net neutral, maybe a little bit positive at best.
I actually, yeah, I use it a lot, and I think it's great. One of the things just past week, I was typing in like a code comment, and it was a piece of code that was, I don't know, I just felt like it really needed a good amount of explanation on it, and so I typed up like, I don't know, 5 or 6 lines of explanation, and then before I committed it, I used Copilot and I just said, I just rewrite this comments, these comments here. And it took 4 or 5 lines and reduced it to like one or two. And it was so much better than what I was trying to do. It was a lot clearer. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, I would definitely put it in the positive category.
yeah.
It's got some
I
great
know
stuff.
one place it's been very nice has been writing API documentations. We use Open API and Swagger, and it will knowing the file I just had open where I've defined all of the different parameters, it will scaffold the entire JSON with, name, type, description for me, and then it's easy to go back and edit the places where it's a little bit off. You know, saves
Yeah,
a lot of keystrokes for some kind of repetitive uh, coding tasks. So, yeah.
for sure.
Since you brought up the CFML formatter earlier, it does look like it is using a language server under the hood, which means those format changes are not spinning up a new command box. They're using something that's already running, which means it is fast, which is great. So if you're like me and you haven't used any automatic formatting for or your CFML or BoxLang code because it's taking forever, like this is a thing to install, CFML formatter. Love it.
Oh, something else, just real quick in that blog that they mentioned that I didn't know about. Did you know CF Format has a wizard that you can, and this is the command line,
I
but
built the wizard, my friend.
well, then let me tell you all about it, Eric. I did not know that, and it's super cool. So for those listening that don't know, there's a command with it that you can put in, and it will essentially prompt you and kind of walk you through the different rules that you can set and show you, like, code examples to show what the rules change. And because there's so many of them, sometimes it's kind of hard to know what exactly is this change going to do. uh, I just thought that was super cool. So thank you, Eric, for building that. I'm glad I could tell you about it.
Now, like I said, like John Berquist built this, and he had all of the examples in a file. And so, yeah, I built the wizard part, which would take you one at a time and show you the difference between it. Because, like you said, some of the, especially with the comma rules, was like, what is the difference between all these? And it's nice to have, oh, here's the example between all three, and I can choose it now.
Yeah.
And in the end, you get a JSON file that you just copy everywhere and you never think about again. So there's a bonus VS Code hint, tip, and trick for you. All right. We are at the end today, so that means we want to talk about our splendiferous Patreon supporters. These are individuals and companies personally supporting our open source initiatives to ensure these great products like CommandBox, ForgeBox, ColdBox, ContentBot, TestBox, BoxLang, all the other great boxes, and to make sure they get the continuous development they need. Contributions fund things like this podcast, ForgeBox for package management, many other things. You can support us on patreon.com/ordersolutions. Prawns packages and up, you're going to get a ForgeBox Pro and CFcast subscription as a perk, while all Patreon supporters have their own private forum access on the community website and a nifty badge to show that they are a Patreon supporter. You can join again at patreon.com/ordersolutions. And we'd like to tell you about some of our top splendiferous Patreons.
Splendiferous. There we go. Said it right. Yes. So big thank you to John Wilson at Synaptrix, Tomorrow's Guides, Jordan Clark, Gary Knight, Giancarlo Gomez, David Bellinger, Dan Card, James Moberg, and Jeffrey McGee with Sunstar Media, Dean Maunder, Kevin Wright, Doug Kane, Nolan Irk, and Abdul Rahim.
Thank you all for joining us today. We hope to see you again in a couple weeks with some more news.
Yep.
Have a great one.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.